This was me in August 2024 at my highest recorded weight. I was 292 pounds or 132 kilograms, a UK dress size 22 to 24, and my BMI was 41.4, placing me in the morbidly obese range. This is me from August 2025 to now. I'm 144 pounds or 67 kilograms. I'm a UK dress size 10 to 12, and my BMI is now 20.7, placing me well into the healthy range. I'm now 150 pounds lighter. I've lost half of my body weight with hard work, determination, lifestyle changes, and a little bit of help from a GLP-1 medication. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what I did to lose this weight and why I'm never going back. Hey lovelies, I'm Keely and my channel's all about transformation with no gimmicks. I know how frustrating it is to lose weight and gain it back and not be able to get to a sustainable weight and stay there. It's taken me 25 years. And me and you, if you're on that journey, we're not alone. Of the 4.2 billion adults in the world, it's estimated that currently, today, 35% of those adults, which is that number across the bottom of the screen, 80 to 95% of those adults that reach that weight will regain that weight within a 5-year period. Today, I'm sharing with you the specific roadmap that helped me to lose 150 pounds and get to maintenance for the first time since I was 13 years old. While statistically it will take the average adult 8 attempts to get to a sustainable maintenance weight, I began gaining weight at 13 and I have been on a constant mill of diet and exercise plans since then. And for context, I'm now 39. There isn't a diet or exercise plan that I haven't tried. I've done Weight Watchers, Slimming World, Slim Fast, Cambridge Diet, Water Fast, Cabbage Soup Diet, Cup of Soup Diet, just eating fruit, just eating vegetables, green juice. In August 2024, I had, as I said, reached the highest recorded weight that I'd been, and I'm sure I'd been higher, but that was the highest I'd recorded it. And life was reduced down to being in the house, going to work and planning what I was going to eat. Eating was really the only hobby that I had. And as much as I loathed myself after, the planning of eating food, the buying of the food, and then the eating the food took me out of any emotional discomfort that I was in. It was like an escapism, as is any addiction or emotional eating propensity. So that's the cycle I was in. And then in August 2024, we went on holiday and I was determined. I'd spent a lot of money. I was going to enjoy my holiday, the hot weather, the sea. And in an attempt to draw attention away from how big I was, I actually drew attention to me because I was the only person in the sea fully dressed, wearing support underwear and layers of clothing. And I looked mad. And we came back off that holiday and I just recognized everything I did felt uncomfortable. Walking up a flight of stairs, I'd be profusely sweating. I would be out of breath. Getting dressed, nothing fitted right. Driving felt uncomfortable. My stomach was sat on my legs. I just was in a really, really bad spot. And not to mention the whole host of health difficulties. I've got PCOS and IBS and was also had gestational diabetes. So was an increased 50% risk within this 5-year period of getting type 2 diabetes, of which there is a genetic link because maternally we have type 1 diabetes and heart conditions. I knew something had to change. But equally, I'd been here thousands of times before. I'd spent my whole life knowing I needed to change my weight. And I lost a little bit of weight between August and September, and that spurred me to keep going. And between August and November 2024, I lost 4 stone 6 pounds. But it was the same cycle. I went to extreme measures, the initial motivation wore off, and between November 2024 and April 2025, my weight began to creep back up. And in April 2025, I was nearly 18 stone. So with some ongoing research, somebody I knew began taking Mounjaro. A YouTuber talked about her Ozempic experience, and then I went to my GP and was given the green light. I began using a GLP-1 medication, in my case Mounjaro, in May 2025. And that doesn't make you lose weight. I've talked about this extensively. I won't go over that here. It just takes away the food noise and the hunger. It supports your body to do what it should have been doing, which mine clearly wasn't. And I instantly went into that journey thinking, I'm not hungry. I don't have to eat. I could lose all of this weight really quickly. But actually thought, this has to be a turning point. Using this medication has to be a tool. It has to support me to put in place the things I know will get me sustainable weight loss for the rest of my life. And so from the middle of May 2025, I embarked on a lifestyle change and nutrition journey, which I'll talk about here. So as I said, I've tried every attempt to lose weight, and there were times when I did macro counting, BMI counting, and I would measure every single bit of food. If I used flour in something, I would measure it out, I would Google it, I would put it in my Fitness Pal, NutriCheck, and work out exactly what the calories were and what the protein and fiber and fats. And whilst that supported my understanding of what's in food, it was not sustainable. Like most people, I've got a busy life, full-time job, large family, just living is hard enough. If I'm going to those sorts of measures where just eating a simple sandwich is taking me 25, 30, 35 minutes to understand and detail and calculate what's in that, I'm never going to sustain it. And I didn't. And so I took what was an easy formula for me. Quite simply, I worked out what my BMR was at each weight bracket. I worked out roughly what calories I was burning based on the steps on my Apple Watch. And I worked out how I was going to be in a 400-ish calorie deficit. Now, that meant at times I was eating upwards of 2,500 calories because my exercise would fluctuate. I began to do park runs. I was going to the gym 3-4 times a week, and I was making sure that on average I did 10,000 steps a day. Now, that fluctuated because that's life. And there were times, like at the moment, I'm not going to the gym and I'm not doing park runs, but I am still using that basic formula, which of course has changed, and it's understanding that that's going to change. But I'm making sure I do 10,000-ish steps a day, although more in January because I'm doing 500,000 steps in January. And that formula works for me. It takes 20 minutes out of my day, and I know what I'm doing, and I don't dread having to do it, which means I don't become lapsed in doing it. It's manageable and it's achievable, and it's a way of me knowing where I'm at. So what was hard about that? Well, losing weight, it wasn't hard. I with the food voice taken away, if someone doesn't know what a GLP-1 medication, so Mounjaro is classed as a GLP-1 medication, but it's a dual agonist. So it has a GLP-1 element and a GIP element, and that impacts the hormones and regulates the hormones in your body. So for me, it took away that constant food craving in your head, the thing telling you to eat, you're not hungry, but it also took away the physical hunger because it releases a hormone and a signal from your stomach to your brain that's saying you're full once you've eaten. And losing the weight wasn't difficult. It was this bit now, sustaining the weight, particularly not on the medication, which I'll continue to document and won't go into in this video. I understand nutrition, and all of the years that I've been dieting, I've always made a promise to myself that once I got to my ideal weight, I would aim to be healthy at that point. Every weight loss journey has always been simply that, about weight loss, not even about fat loss, but about weight loss. And that's what needed to change. It was that mind shift. And the reality is, it doesn't take away your propensity to emotionally eat. And that's something I'm having to work on within a therapeutic element, because the reality is my emotional eating stems from trauma and abuse in my earlier life. And food, as much as I loathed it afterwards, it was absolutely my comfort and it felt like my only joy at time. It felt like the thing that I gave myself, the thing I was entitled to. And that doesn't go. And I'm having to continue to work on that. Equally, my hunger is back. And so I'm having to use these methods to sustain it. And that's why I know it's working, because I am managing that where I never have before. So as I said, an average exercise day for me, an average one, is that I'm currently doing about 16,000 steps a day. In February, I'll knock that back down to around 10,000 and aim to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, introducing weights and a little bit of cardio, but more focusing on the weights as I want to tone up this year. I'm keeping my food quite simple. And what works for me is smaller meals each day. So now I'm not on the GLP-1 medication. I'm hungrier, but actually eating 5 small meals a day, forcing myself to have breakfast when that's not a time that I'm hungry, and keeping my protein and fiber up means that actually I'm finding, even though I could continue to eat, I am fuller. So for example, I'll have porridge with banana for breakfast and maybe protein shake an hour after, and my brain is saying you could continue to eat. I still feel physically hungry. I'm just stopping and knowing that I will eat again in a couple of hours. And that's working quite well for me. I'm not completely fixated on food, whereas I was before. And I just know it's hard work. I know this bit is hard work, and that's the reality. Like anything, if it's worth having, it's worth working for, and it's going to contain an element of hard work. On average, since we've gone into January and I've been doing this high level of steps, I'm eating about 2,300 steps a day because I'm in calories a day, because I'm in maintenance. I'm not trying to eat to a calorie deficit. So I am literally just trying to, based on the calculation of BMR, steps and calories burned, I'm trying to eat to my BMR. So if I'm having a moderately active day, my BMR says I'm burning about 1,900 calories. So I will try and eat 1,900 calories. But that is 1,900 calories of good food, which if I'm not sure of the balance of something, I'll go on MyFitnessPal, because that typically has most things, and I'll find it out there if it's not on the packet. And then I just scan it on MyFitnessPal for the next time. So I'm finding that an easier way to do it. And I found that a really, really simple way to do it with the deficit as well. It took, like I said, less than 20 minutes and is completely sustainable. And I've got the gadgets to do it, but there are other ways you can do it if you don't have an Apple Watch. There are much cheaper alternatives out there, probably better ones battery-wise as well. And you just have to do what works for you. If you can't do that many steps a day, just do some couch exercises, or try and aim to do 100 and 200 steps more around the house. But that is a really effective way that I found. And over 25 years, I've built up enough evidence of what I'm able to sustain and achieve and what I'm not. And this is absolutely sustainable and doesn't feel like I'm going out of my way or like it's a chore. What I don't want this to be is a sort of fairy tale version or glossed up before and after. It has taken me a long time to get here. And back in April, when I went to the GP, one of several times I'd gone to the GP and had comments previously like, just put down the knife and fork, stop eating when you're full. I don't know when I'm full. All of those comments, I had comments about being Miss Piggy out in public, sat in a chair in the kitchen once and it literally folded underneath me. And it's been hard work. This isn't and I'm not fixed. My emotional eating is going to be an ongoing thing. Even when I was on the GLP-1 medication, I could still eat through that. If I was having a bad enough day, I could still eat through that quite easily. I could overconsume, have days where I ate less, but all of the wrong things. And I did a video a few months back where I went through an old food diary that I kept of when I was eating as I normally would have done in those years. And there were days that I was comfortably eating 6, 7, 8,000 calories. And the reality is that's how I got to be 292 pounds. If you eat like that, you're going to gain like that and you're going to sustain that, but you're probably going to die very, very early, or you're going to have a whole host of health complications. And I'm hoping that the changes I've made have kept that at bay. So it isn't easy, and it's taken me a lot of desperation to get here. But now that I'm here, I know that it's worth being here for. And yeah, it takes 20 minutes out of my day. Yes, I have to make healthier food choices and I have to move. Like, movement is movement. I used to look at it like, well, I've gone to the gym for an hour and that's my exercise for the day. So now I can sit on the couch. The reality is that's not really, yes, okay, you're burning while you're in the gym and it will improve your metabolism for a bit after. But if you're moving throughout the day, even just doing housework or walking to the car or whatever it is, you're moving. And that's how I'm looking at it. That's going to be my approach. I can't always get to the gym, but I can, for now, get up and walk about. Made a lot easier by being half my body weight. But it isn't easy. And yes, the GLP-1 medication helped me because it regulated my body, but I'm never going to be an intuitive eater. I'm always going to be somebody that has to do something to work towards it. But I do know, because I'm here, that it's worth working towards. Equally, I had 25 years where I wasn't able to achieve it. So I've been on both sides of the fence, and I know this side of the fence is achievable and manageable, but it just takes that little bit of work. The reality is that's my formula. There's a formula out there that works for everybody, and I'm convinced of that now because I'm here after 25 years. And the reality is I never thought this was possible. I'm now in maintenance. I'm not using a medication. I'm just using what I've learned and this formula that's working for me. But if you want to follow that journey, please do subscribe and let me know in the comments your thoughts, what journey you're on, what's been successful or not successful for you. And yeah, if you've watched this far, thank you for watching. I hope it's been helpful in some way, but ultimately what I hope it's brought is that if people are still watching, it is possible. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here or because I used the medication. The medication helped, but I'm not on it now and I'm managing it. And my life has completely changed. And it's changed because I found something that works for me. And I know, therefore, there's something that works for everyone else. I've been completely desperate for most of my life to lose weight and sustain it. And I'm here. It's not easy. The maintenance is probably harder in some ways, but I'm achieving it. So if you want to follow that journey, please do like and subscribe. And as I said, leave your comments and I'll see you in the next one.